In the heart of the ancient world, nestled between the mighty rivers of the Tigris and the Euphrates, arose one of the most remarkable civilizations in human history, the Sumerians. These early pioneers built the first cities, developed the earliest known writing system, and laid the foundation for many of the innovations that shaped human history. Today we will journey through time to explore the rise and fall of the Sumerian civilization, the very first empire to leave its mark on the world. From humble beginnings, as small farming communities, the Sumerians would grow to establish powerful city-states, each teeming with innovation, creativity, and culture. These early urban centers became the cradle of civilization, where humankind would make groundbreaking strides in agriculture, science, governance, and religion. The story of the Sumerians begins over 7,000 years ago in a region historians refer to as the Fertile Crescent. Here, the annual flooding of the rivers deposited nutrient-rich silt onto the land, creating perfect conditions for the development of agriculture. As farming communities grew more sophisticated, they began to cluster together, giving rise to villages and eventually powerful city-states. By 4500 BCE, some of these early settlements had transformed into bustling city-states, each governed independently. The largest and most influential among them were Uruk, Eridu, and Lagash. These cities became centers of economic, political, and religious life, each ruled by kings who derived their authority from the gods. Of all the early Sumerian cities, none was as powerful or influential as Uruk, which is often regarded as the first true city in human history. By 3000 BCE, Uruk was home to around 50,000 people, a staggering population for its time, and was ruled by legendary kings like Gilgamesh, whose tales would become immortalized in one of the greatest literary works ever written. Uruk's success was due in large part to its advanced agriculture and trade networks. The city's proximity to the Euphrates allowed it to control essential water resources, which helped its citizens produce surplus crops. Meanwhile, Uruk's merchants traded goods like grain, wool, and textiles in exchange for precious materials such as gold, copper, and lapis lazuli from as far away as Anatolia, Persia, and even the Indus Valley. The Sumerians were deeply religious, and their cities were dominated by towering ziggurats, massive temple complexes dedicated to their gods. Each city-state worshipped its own patron deity, believing that their fate and prosperity rested in the hands of these gods. At the heart of Sumerian religion was the belief that humans were created to serve the gods, offering them daily sacrifices in exchange for protection and favor. Among the most important gods were Anu, the king of the gods and ruler of the heavens, Enlil, the god of wind, air, and storms who controlled the fate of humanity, and Inanna, the fierce goddess of love, fertility, and warfare. Sumerian myths also spoke of the creation of the world, the great flood that nearly destroyed humanity, and the heroic exploits of kings like Gilgamesh, whose quest for immortality would become one of the most influential stories in history. One of the most enduring legacies of the Sumerians is their invention of writing. Around 3200 BCE, they developed the first known system of writing cuneiform. Originally used to keep records of trade, cuneiform quickly evolved into a powerful tool for recording laws, religious texts, literature, and scientific knowledge. The invention of writing marked a critical turning point in human history, allowing for the preservation and transmission of knowledge across generations. The Sumerians also made groundbreaking strides in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. They developed a base 60 mathematical system, a system that still influences the way we measure time today, with 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. In astronomy, the Sumerians were some of the first to track the movements of the stars and planets, using this knowledge to create early calendars and to predict seasonal changes critical for agriculture. The rise of Sumer's powerful city-states often led to conflict as kings sought to expand their territories and protect their resources. The Sumerians were among the first to develop sophisticated military tactics, and they equipped their soldiers with bronze weapons, spears, and shields. They also pioneered the use of the chariot, an innovation that would later be adopted by neighboring civilizations. Warfare was a constant part of life in ancient Sumer, and battles between city-states were frequent. However, these conflicts also led to innovations in military strategy and tactics. King Eannatum of Lagash, for example, expanded his domain through a series of successful campaigns, using both diplomacy and force to subdue rival city-states. The Stele of the Vultures, a monument from this period, depicts the brutal realities of war, with scenes of soldiers trampling their enemies underfoot. One of the earliest known law codes in human history was the Code of Ur-Nammu, dating back to around 2100 BCE. This legal system laid down principles for justice, covering everything from property disputes and marriage contracts to criminal offences and punishments. Though some of its punishments were harsh by modern standards, the Code of Ur-Nammu represented a significant step toward the establishment of organized legal systems. Sumerian governance was highly organized, with each city-state maintaining its own legal system, bureaucracy, and military. The king, or Lugol, was the highest authority in the land, responsible for enforcing laws, collecting taxes, and leading the military. However, Sumerian society was also deeply religious, and the king's authority was believed to come directly from the gods. Sumer's prosperity was not limited to its agricultural success. The Sumerians were master traders, establishing long-distance trade routes that connected them to the wider world. Their trade networks extended from the Indus Valley to Egypt and Anatolia, exchanging goods such as textiles, grain, pottery, and metalwork for luxury items like gold, copper, and precious stones. Through these trade connections, the Sumerians not only enriched their cities, but also facilitated the exchange of ideas, technologies, and cultural practices. For example, the Sumerian influence can be seen in the development of early Egyptian writing, and their advancements in metallurgy would later spread to other civilizations across the ancient world. Despite their many achievements, the Sumerians were not immune to the forces of time and conflict. The city-states of Sumer were often in conflict with one another, which weakened them militarily and politically. Over time, this infighting made them vulnerable to external invasions. The Gutians, a nomadic people from the Zagros Mountains, were among the first to conquer Sumer, plunging the region into a period of chaos. Though the Sumerians briefly regained power under the Third Dynasty of Ur, the relentless pressure from external forces combined with environmental challenges such as salinization of the soil led to their eventual decline. By the time the Amorites and Elamites invaded the region, the once great cities of Sumer had fallen, marking the end of the first great civilization in human history. Though the Sumerians are long gone, their influence endures. Their innovations in writing, law, mathematics, and architecture laid the groundwork for many of the great empires that followed. From the Akkadians to the Babylonians, the legacy of Sumer continued to shape the course of history for millennia. As we look back at the remarkable achievements of the Sumerians, we are reminded of how much we owe to these ancient pioneers. From the written word to the rule of law, the echoes of their civilization still resonate in our world today. Thank you for watching Echoes of History. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more in-depth explorations of ancient civilizations.